is some rich guy that can afford to go do this. And then the way they did it, and I know it's all accusations right now, but they lure this lion that it's protected out to shoot it. You can cuss, right? In the fucking head, and then cut its head off, and then have he gotten arrested yet? I know that the Zimbabwe authorities are looking for him.
Right now, right before I left, there's still petitions being circulated to ask for his arrest.
He better hope he gets arrested because people want to kill that guy, and he's never going to practice again. Hopefully he'll never practice again. It seems like with as that the left getting more empowered with all these great things that have been happening with gay marriage and things like that, is sort of doing something to supercharge the extreme right for things like this. You know what I mean? Like they're doing as much as they can just to piss off the left even more. Like, well, you got this, we're going to do. And to me, this falls hand in hand with this, like fucking Ted Nugent and all that shit. The game hunting and all that stuff. And it seems to be something that people are wearing as a badge of honor, and even getting more, ramped up about it. Also, I try not to pay attention to it because it just pisses me off. But it is something you're seeing a lot more of nowadays, where people are certainly paying more and more money to go and do this. And not only that, there's the thing with the white rhinos and these things that are particularly extinct, and people are paying, that's even more money to go kill something that there's maybe only 10 left of, I don't get it. It's as if people feel like, it's as if people are living nowadays like they lived before, when we were stupider than we are fucking now, before the thing like the internet and things like that. And we're stupid now. But many, many years ago, we're living as if there is no end point. Do you know what I'm saying? Littering and treating the environment like it's just going to be around forever, and killing endangered species and protected species and stuff like that. And I think you could tell it definitely is something that I kind of think about constantly. And when you hear things like this, it makes you ashamed to be. It makes me ashamed to be in the same species with this guy, because I can't apologize for that. I can't, it's kind of those things where it's like a family member embarrassed you, you know what I mean? Like, oh God, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Well, that's how I feel about this, I mean, we're all, somehow genetically linked, and
and just the fact that he's an American. Of course, he's an American that did this. If it wouldn't be, some other nationality, unfortunately.
Being a guy that travels internationally, you get, like, especially the Bush years, you always had, like, so you're a president, right? Like, yeah, he's not my president. But, and we're probably going to get this. So one of you people did this. It's like, yeah, it was really stupid, And of course, it was in America, yeah.
And it always, I think it's very frustrating, because here it is, 2015. Things have changed so much in so many positive ways, yet I think we feel a bit helpless.
Absolutely.
And speaking of presidents, with a new election coming around, it's sort of frightening to even think about that, to be honest with you. What do you think are some important things that especially young voters need to know about the upcoming election?
Well, I think it's an interesting time. I mean, as there is so much information at your fingertips. I mean, literally at your fingertips, and that's why having any sort of ignorance about, like, the issue we just talked about, and just playing dumb about that, you can't get away with that anymore. You can't do it. You can't educate yourself. And so with a young voter, somebody that's just now able to vote, I mean, I definitely don't want to just preach my view and say you should just vote for the person I'm going to vote for. But if you do the research, and if you hopefully, I'm hoping that, you'll definitely find your own voice, or find the thing or the person or the belief system that you agree with, just by doing a few searches, you know what I mean? And kind of doing, And so I guess what I'm saying is like, it's a good time for that. It's a good time for votes and for things that can really make a difference as an American, because, like I said, you don't have a reason to play dumb anymore. You really don't. Like if this dentist tries to play dumb, it's like, you knew better. You knew that, anyone could have figured that out. And I think that's you're definitely more held accountable. I think there's definitely many pitfalls and and downsides to having a computer with you constantly to answer every question that you might need your brain for. But it also gives you a world of knowledge and a world of facts that you can't argue with. So let's hope it goes, to the way of good, or best good.
Yeah, I would agree with you that the best voter is the informed and educated one. I think that that's definitely something that's important. Music videos from Black Market have addressed national and international issues, tons and tons of them, even within one video, and certainly not to say, you know, to rank them by any means. But what do you feel are some important issues that need to be addressed as soon as possible?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because in one fell swoop, it feels like one thing that we were arguing about and couldn't make sense of was the right to gay marriage. I'm still awestruck that that happened. You know, I mean, of course, that was legislation that had been going on for a long time, but it definitely didn't feel like. I mean, there was a time where I didn't feel like in my lifetime I was going to see that. When only Ireland had, as far as so it it's so odd to feel like you don't win a lot of those things, and then for that to happen, and you're just like, but whoa, like, wow, that's amazing. So that was a major issue. We had Make It Stop, a song about that sort of thing. But on the other end of things, I think there's also national health care. That was another thing that we were sort of we would go to Europe and get like you just see other countries that were doing so well with it, and the wealth and sort of things like that. And then that's what I'm saying. So as a liberal, it's been good. I mean, we're used to yelling and shouting, and I mean, it's kind of amazing. And you're starting to see these people that pre '60s, where their family was on the bad side of these things, and there's such an embarrassment now. And we're seeing that now. Like, man, your dad was so against gay marriage before, you know what I mean? And so we're kind of living in this real interesting time where we're seeing universal health care, and we're seeing gay marriage, and we're seeing all these sorts of things. So I gotta admit, for somebody that was on the other end of that for so long, it's kind of like, I mean, we definitely still have issues. We definitely still have illegal whaling ships happening, which was on the cover of the New York Times yesterday. Which we had just talked to the Sea Shepherd people that were on the other end of that were chasing that boat. That seems to be an issue still, but I mean, it's definitely still an issue. But they're sort of winning that battle as well. Um, it's it's kind of it's kind
Refreshing.
of
But you're also, I feel what you feel. You're like, I'm glad things are going well. Let's not mess it up. Like, let's not jinx it.
kind of. Are we sure this is happening? Especially the gay marriage issue. I was just like, are you sure? Really? Um, but not like us. I mean, there's still factory farming issues. There's still, our good friend Will Potter wrote an amazing book, and he actually Will might be here tonight. Um, and about factory farming issues and things like that. And so there's definitely still the issues that we would have, with that PETA and all the campaigns we do that, and the IVOL people that we've worked with in the past, Iraqi Veterans Against the War, which still seems to be a constant sort of issue with people going over there and coming back, and that would be a good thing. But there's things about Obama said still about. I mean, I didn't agree with him sending a a lot more troops over there, but he's got an exit strategy apparently on a certain year, and we'll see how that all happens. But I mean, at least temporarily, and for right now, things are feeling oddly good, But that doesn't mean we're going to shut up and not still find things to talk about. Only because it's kind of our duty. I think it's anybody's duty that has a microphone in their face because in this country, or I guess in the world, you idolize anyone that people are paying attention to for no reason. I mean, you know, you don't have to play guitar and sing and move around. You can actually do nothing, and people in this country, at least, will idolize you and want to be you and want to grow up to be like you for no reason. Maybe you were born rich, or you were born particularly attractive, you can do nothing else for society, and that's an amazing phenomenon. And sometimes those people use their power for good and not evil, and they speak up and they say things about issues, and they find a political organization or a charity to work with, and great. A lot of times they don't. Their organization is themselves, and it's just about selfies and Instagram. Um, so exactly. So for us, you know, maybe this moment's fleeting, and maybe we're only getting attention for a certain amount of time. But for as long as we are, we're consistently going to be, working with the people that we work with, and so far we've had great relationships with everybody, and Sea Shepherds and the PETA organization and things like that, and it's been a great relationship. We've been able to scratch each other's backs and do whatever we can for them because they're a great bunch of people, and they're saying important stuff.
That was going to be my next question. Why do musicians, why do some musicians feel the need to sort of step forward? And I think you said that very eloquently, because people pay attention, and I think that you have the power to give an audience to things that don't necessarily get talked about that much. Are there any current events right now that you guys are perhaps working on new material about?
Yeah. Oh, you mean current things happening in the news? Well, that's a whole other issue with writing new stuff, which we're not doing yet. Right now, we're touring a lot. Like we have been going, and we're going until December of this year. So we're one of those bands that we kind of need to put things in blocks, like this is touring, and then this is writing, and then this is occasionally at soundcheck we'll bring, hey, I got this new thing or whatever. But it usually happens better if we're sort of, compartmental. Yeah, exactly. You got to get writing.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
And that mode probably won't be happening until early next year. But next year we'll be writing and recording and doing a new record. And I'm sure there's never a shortage of things to be pissed off about, which is a drag. But as long as there's there's fodder there for material, which is unfortunately good.
Like I said, an election is approaching. You'll find tons of stuff.
Yeah, something out. I'm sure Trump will keep opening his mouth.
That's fodder right there. There's trilogy of albums you could do there. So stay tuned for much more from Rise Against, who are on tour through December. This